Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library. And I had said that I was going to do one more thing that's kind of kid friendly or young person friendly. So I wanted to do some earrings. I have some really cute charms and things like that, and some little acrylic flowery things that I thought we would do to end out the summer. So here we're going to do several pairs of earrings. They're going to be not hard to do. They're going to be nice for anybody to be able to make before we get back into the fall season. And I hope that it'll be something that adults and kids would like as well. I wanted to do something that wasn't too overpowering for young girls that might want to wear them, but also be suitable for adults if they would choose to be wear something a little more frivolous. So we're going to be using some charms, and we're going to be making some little dangles. And we're going to go back to the post earrings because they're up a little higher. They don't hang quite as low, something that's just a little less large. So you're going to need your usual tools for this. Round nose pliers, the barrels are round all the way around. It starts larger near the hilt and gets smaller up near the end, up near the tip. Then we have our square nose pliers that are slightly rounded on the outside and perfectly flat on the inside. They get a little confusing sometimes because of the slight roundness on the outside. People tend to think that they may be the round ones, but they are not. And if you put them next to the round ones, you can definitely see the difference. And then the third thing that we're going to need is a pair of wire cutters. And they do just that. They cut wire and chain and things like that. So that's what we're going to use today. The wire that I'm using is 20 gauge. And again, I'm using an assortment of little charms, and then I'm using some little ball posts for the earring part. We're also using some little pearl-esque glass beads that I've used a couple of times because they're just so springy and summery and just really very, very pretty. So I think that is everything. We'll be using some jump rings, and as usual, you'll need a ruler to measure some things out. So let's go ahead and get down here to the mat and get started. Just a sec. Okay. I have a little assortment of charms here that I thought I'd use for this. And what we're going to do is take our 20 gauge wire and make it a little cage, a little wire cage that we can pop some of those little beads into just for fun. So what you're going to do is take your round nose pliers, and right here at the tip of your wire, you're going to grab that wire. Just set it right in the middle of your pliers. Make sure that the tip is not sticking out. Here we go. And then we're going to make a tiny loop. Let's make a little loop. Just rotate with your pliers. Here we go. So we got a little loop started there. And then what I want to do is continue that loop. And now I'm wrapping the wire around itself on the outside of the first loop. Okay. So now that I've got that started, I'm going to switch to my square pliers, and I'm going to continue wrapping. And again, I'm wrapping out on the outside of the first loop that I made. So just keep wrapping. I'm going to go around 2.5 times, and I'll go around 3 times. When the wire that I'm wrapping meets up with the tip of my wire, I'm going to stop because I'm going to be making 2 of these spirals. So I'll stop right here across from the little tip. And now I'm going to switch over to the other side. grab my round pliers and make a tiny loop just like I did the first time. Check to make sure my wire is not sticking out the back of my pliers and make a loop. Tiny little loop. There we go. I want it nice and close to the first wrap. And then when I have that started, I'm going to switch to my square pliers. And I'm going to continue to wrap. Let me squeeze that a little tighter together. There we go. And I'm going to continue to wrap until I have 3 wraps like I did on the other side. And I think I said I have about 4 inches of wire here because I just want a tiny little cage. I don't want anything huge. So this is 4 inches. So I've got my little wrap there right across from the tip. I'm going to go a little bit further. There we go. So there's my little tip over there. So I've got it wrapped about 1 1/4 times around. I'm going to switch over to the other side and do the same thing over there. Just keep wrapping until about 1 1/4 times around. Let's check. Yes. There's my tip. There's the end of the wire. Tip end. I'm going to wrap one more time on this side. Just a small wrap. And then go to the other side and go. And watch, I'm wrapping so that the loops, one is on top of the other one. Just going to wrap until they are completely overlapped. Okay. Wrap that. Yes. Flip it over. Another wrap. Just a little bit at a time until they're stacked on top of each other. And I think we're good. There. Got my little spirals on top of each other. Let's make sure they're nicely stacked. Nice. A little bit of space there. Let's squeeze it until it's nice and snug beside the other wraps. So there are my 2 little spirals, one on top of the other. Now I'm going to take my round pliers and I'm going to poke the little tip right inside the top loop. It's right inside there. And now I'm going to, oops, got to grab it. Now I'm going to pull the little rings apart. Now you have to be very careful when you're doing this. You don't want to rush it. Just grab on to that ring, hold on to the rest of the rings with your fingers, and just kind of work it over. And I know my fingers are blocking the view, but that's why I'm trying to talk you through it. It's right there on the inside of that loop. And slowly pull those rings apart a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. And then when you get, I don't know why I always get a frog in my throat when I do these tutorials. So then when you get, sorry, the one side done, I'm gonna flip over to the other side and do the same thing. Pop my little tip of my pliers inside the top ring and just slowly work those little rings apart. You can see I'm getting a little cage here, a little bit at a time. Don't rush it. There's no reason to rush. You want to be very careful when you're doing this so that you don't completely pull your little cage apart. There we go. Oops, oops, come back. We have a runner. Okay, let's pull this over a little bit. See that? Nice little cage. Nice. Kind of even my little rings out. And this wire is very malleable, so you'll be able to manipulate it a bit to get the little rings to look the way that you want. Pull it a little bit more on one side, and then let's pull it a little bit more on the other side. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. There is my little cage. Isn't that cute? Yes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is lift up one of my little rings. Let's grab this one. It's already partly lifted. So I'm going to go right inside the top ring, just the top one. Here's the little tip. I'm going to go to the opposite side across from the tip. I'm going to hold on to the other rings. I'm just going to twist that top ring until it's standing up. There we go. There we go. Open that up just a little more. Yeah. Okay, so now I have my little cage. To push that loop down a little bit because I don't want too much of an opening down here or up here. And again, it's very malleable, so you can use your fingers to get it to do what you want it to do. And then what I'm going to do is grab a couple of beads and I'm going to pop them down into my cage just to give it some color. So I'm going to separate the rings in the center here just a little bit and pop a couple of beads in that you'll be able to see through rings. Okay, let's close that back up with my fingers. I could work it a little, work it apart a little more if I want. Just kind of play with it until you get the look that you want. You get those little rings even, even Steven. There's my little cage. Isn't that cute? All right. So what I'm going to do is attach that to my little post. So I'm going to grab an jump ring and I'm going to open it up. I'm going to take my little pliers, my square pliers. Here's the opening at the top of the jump ring, right up here. I like to put my square pliers on the side, beside the opening, then take my round nose pliers and have them facing up and down towards the opening of the jump ring and twist it till it's nicely opened. Then I'm going to slide the post inside the jump ring, right there where the little loop is. And then I'm going to slide the ring of the cage inside my jump ring as well and twist the jump ring closed. Okay. Make sure those little tips are meeting. Yeah. And there we are. Nice. Now, what am I going to do on the back side? I decided to use a little chain and dangle a little flower um, dangle down the back. So what I'm going to do for that is just grab a jump ring. My little charm has a little loop on it. So I'm just going to grab a jump ring, open it up. And attach it to my little charm, like so. Then I have a little piece of chain. You can decide how long you want it to be. Mine is not long at all because I just didn't want a whole lot of length. I have about half an inch here of chain because that's all I wanted, just enough to dangle down the back of my earring and be able to see it. I'm trying to spread it out. There we go. And you can use any small chain for that. So I'm going to take the last loop of my chain, I'm going to slide that inside my jump ring. And I'm going to twist the jump ring closed. If I can grab it, there we go. Make sure those little tips are meeting. Nice and neat. There we go. And now I want to attach the other end of the chain to the back of my earring. For that, I need another jump ring. There we go. So let's open that up. Okay, let's twist that open and slide on the last ring of my chain that's housing my charm, and then add that to my earring back. Just slide the earring back inside my jump ring and close. Let's close it up. There we go. So there is my earring. Let's put that on. Oh, wow, that's tight. It's getting there. Come on. Here we go. Well, that is really tight. So if that happens, sometimes it does, just take your round nose pliers and pull these two little rings apart just a smidge, just enough so that you can poke the pin of your post inside. There we go. And here's my earring. There it is. Nice. Let's put it on a form and see what it looks like. Hold on just a second. Okay. Got my little ear here. Here we go. There it is. And there's my little earring. Get off of there. There's my little earring. Isn't that cute? I love it. I wish there was a better way to show it to you this way. Let's see if that'll work. Well, see if a better view there. There it is. Isn't that cute? I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up a second pair of earrings. And I'm going to use a coil this time. So I'll be right back and I'll get that all set up and we'll get going. Okay, for this second one, we're going to make a coil. So what I'm going to do is use the side of my pliers just as a guide. And what you're going to want to do is give yourself about a half an inch of wire just to hold on to. And then we're going to start wrapping the rest of it around your plier handle. Now, that works with this kind of plier handle. If this isn't the kind you have, you can use an ink pen or something like that. If you have one of those really thick handles on your pliers, then use something like an ink pen. So I'm going to wrap that around. And they don't have to be a certain distance apart because we're going to spread them out anyway. Let's just try to wrap them kind of even. There we go. And then I'm going to stop when I have a little half inch tail that's not wrapped, just like on the other side. So there we go. Take it off your cylindrical item, whatever that may be. And then I'm going to take the round nose pliers and make a small loop on one end with the wire that we didn't wrap around the cylindrical item. In my case, my pliers handle. Now I'm holding on to the wire. I think people think it's easier to hold it like this. If you do, make sure you don't squeeze your rings together. It's better to kind of separate your rings just a little bit so that you can hold on to the wire that you are now looping. Then that way you don't have to worry about squishing your coils. So I'm going to hold on to that. Go down here just about 1/8 of an inch beyond the tip or back behind the tip of my pliers. I'm going to make a little loop. Again, I want to make sure that the little tip's not sticking out the back of my pliers and just rotate my pliers until I have a small loop. Then I'm going to guide the wire over until the loop is sitting in the center of my coil. And again, careful not to squeeze your coils shut. Here we go. I've got a nice little loop in the center. I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. About 1/8 of an inch from the tip. Oops, it keeps popping out of there. It doesn't like that. Check to make sure that the tip's not protruding out of your pliers, and then make a little loop. There we go. Guide that wire over until the loop is settled in the center. I was a little overzealous, and now I have a little point there on the end. Doesn't really make a difference, but I'm going to try to get it out of there a little more round instead of pointy. I use my square pliers for that. Okay, guide that over to the center. Make sure my little loop is closed. Nice and easy. No need to rush. There we go. There. And go to the other side and check. That one's good. Now what I want to do is kind of spread them out a bit. Spread them out a little bit. Just like I did my bead cage. And if you're more comfortable doing it one ring at a time, you can kind of go to the center, give it a little pull, and then go to the next one and give that a little bit of a wiggle and a pull. Just take your time and open it up slowly. There we go. Yes. Yeah, I think I'm going to make it just a little deeper, a little wider. And just keep pulling it a little bit at a time until you get it to the size that you want. Very malleable, 20 gauge wire. It will do what you tell it to do. Just don't rush and pull too hard. Otherwise, your entire coil could come uncoiled, and then that I'm sure that would make you very unhappy. A little bit more. Okay, that looks good. So there's my little coil. Now you're asking, what are we going to do with that? I'll tell you what we're going to do with it. We're going to take another piece of wire, and you want to measure your coil to see how long it is. Where's my ruler? Yeah. Measure it to see how long it is. This is about half an inch, it looks like. Just a smidge over, not quite 5/8 of an inch. And you're going to measure that amount plus give yourself another half an inch on each side. Actually, give yourself about 5/8 of an inch on each side. So this is about 5/8 of an inch. Let's just say 3/4 of an inch and then half an inch on each side. That would be 1 1/4. Give yourself an inch and a half because you want enough to go through the coil and attach beads to the stem. So I don't want to scrimp. I can cut off what I don't need. It's not going to be a lot. You don't need a whole lot, but just give yourself an inch and a half. That should be plenty for me because my little coil, inch and a half, my little coil is only about 5/8 of an inch. So cut that off. If you have to cut any off, it's going to be a very small amount. So now what I'm going to do is make a little loop. I'm going to bend that back because it's just going to be a very small loop. So I'm going to bend that back about at the half inch mark, and I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, and make a small loop, just about 1/8 of an inch from the tip of my pliers. Just going to rotate until I have a small loop. Just rotate with my pliers until the tip of my wire touches the rest of my wire. Bend my loop back so that it's settled right on top of my stem. My stem is running down the center underneath the tip. Here we go. Now I'm going to add some beads because I'm a bead person. But before I do that, I'm going to slide my wire in one of my loops. Now, this is why I said you have to make sure that your loop is tightly closed, because otherwise this little pin can slip out the opening. So double check, make sure it's closed. I see a little bit of an opening there, so I'm going to squeeze it closed. There we go. Nice and tight. Then I'm going to put my little stem of the wire in, and I'm going to slide it up to the top here. And I'm going to put some beads on. And I'm just the second ring from the top is where I've got the wire sticking out there. Or you can get right to the top. But don't go through the little loop yet. We're going to back up to that. But right now I need to be able to put some beads on, so I need some space. So I'm just going to put some random beads on. Now, these are little 3.5 millimeter pearlesque beads that I'm using, and they've been dyed. So just be aware that sometimes the dye can get down in the little opening. So you want to make sure, you might want to do it ahead of time. Just make sure that your wire will go through. So you might need to have to work it a little bit because the drill point is very small. If there's anything obstructing it, it may be hard to get the wire through. And you might have to just work with it a bit. Down in there. There we go. Yeah. And let's get the other two on. I'm just putting enough on so that they are visible from inside my little coil, but they're inside the coil. And let's put the last one in. Oops. Come on. Here we go. Okay, so I've got all my little beads on. I'm going to push them down to the bottom of my stem. Then I'm going to pull my wire back until I can work it into the little loop at the top. Get down there. That's going to take a minute because they're going to keep sliding up. So you're going to have to use all your fingers to get that to work. Get down there. Get down there. You slide that down. Hold that top bead in place. Come on. Go down. Fumble, fumble, fumble. This is probably the most challenging part. Just getting these beads on. Get in there. And get that tip down in there. You've got a jumper. Okay, that's my I'm saying get a move on. Put that one back on because I really want that pretty bead on there. I want as many as I can get. Pull that back. Slide that into my loop. Just pull that up a little bit. And what you can do is give yourself space there. Just pull that over. Slide that in. Oh, come on. Gotta work with me. Just want to get the tip in. Just want to get it in there. So what I'm going to do is pull this up a little bit away from the beads, because then I can push it back down over the beads. So open your coil up a little more if you need to. Pull it apart just a smidge until you can work that little tip into the loop at the top. You push that all the way down. Hold on to those. And we have success. That took like 5 minutes of my time to get that in there. But it's there. There we go. So now I've got my little pin up in the top loop of my coil. And now I can loop off the top just like I did the bottom. So I'm going to bend it over to the side right there at the top loop. Check and see if it's, make sure it's the length that you want. I have another one over here that I want to match up. Yes. Bend that over to the side and then cut this down to a 1/2 inch, just like we had on the other side. Hold on to that tip of the wire so it doesn't go flying off across the room where you're going to have to find it. Grab your round nose pliers and make a loop. And again, if you're holding on to the rings of your coil, try not to squeeze. You don't want to squish them together. Okay, so grab my little wire, slide down about 1/8 of an inch from the tip and start rotating to make the loop. There we go. Nice. Here's my little coil. I'm going to straighten that out a little bit. It's leaning a little bit to the side. There. There's my little coil. And now I'm going to attach, I'm going to use this, put this pretty little charm on there. This little dangle on the bottom. So I'm going to go down at one end, decide which side is the top and which side is the bottom. You're going to open up your loop, just like you do jump rings. You're just going to twist it open to the side. Twist that open and slide on the loop, closed loop of my charm inside the open loop of my pin. And then twist it closed. Here we go. Yes. On the other end, I'm going to attach that to Where's my little, oh my goodness, it's missing. I need another one. Oh, blah, 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 blah. So on the other hand, I'm going to attach that to my little post. So again, I'm going to open up the loop on the other side, twist it open, and slide on my post. Just slide that little loop right inside my little pin and twist it closed. And there we have it. Let's see if this one is open enough for me not have to manipulate it. Wow, these are all kind of tight, but that one worked. There we go. So there is that earring. Cute. Okay, let's put it on a phenomenal display and see what it looks like. There you go. Right. There we are. There is that little earring. Cute, cute, cute. Let's turn it on. See it a little bit better. There it is. Isn't that cute? I love it. Okay, let's do one more. This is going to be a quick one. Let me get it all set up and I'll be right back. Okay, for this one, I just need about 2 inches of wire. I'm going to make a head pin. And to do that, I'm just going to take one end of my wire and grasp the tip with my round nose pliers, give it a 3/4 turn. I'm going to turn it until it's 3/4 of the way around, just like that. Not a loop and not closed. Then I'm going to grab my pliers and I'm going to squeeze that tip back against the rest of the wire. So I just have a little tip. As a matter of fact, that's bigger than I want. So I'm going to clip a little bit of it off. It just needs to be super tiny. I just want enough to stop my beads from falling off. So I'm going to cut some of that off so that I just end up with a little nub down there at the bottom of my pin. There we go. Nice little nub. Yes. Then grab some beads, the beads of your choice. I'm using my little pearlesque pearls. They just say summer to me. So I'm going to grab one of those and I'm going to put it on my wire. And then I have these cute little acrylic beads. I just thought they were so cute. I saw somebody make a whole necklace out of these little acrylic beads, and it was so cute. I said, let me get some of those. So I did. So I'm now going to take one of these little leaves and slide it on. And then I'm going to take this little heart-shaped bead and slide that on. And isn't that the cutest thing? Then I'm going to slide another one of my little pearlesque beads on the top. Told you this is going to be a quickie. I like to get the more time-consuming ones out of the way first. Isn't that cute? What could be simpler than that? Nice little earring. So now what I want to do is make a loop. So I'm going to bend the wire over to the side. Look how much I have left. Virginia. Fortunately, it should be enough that I can do something with that 3/4 of an inch or whatever that is left. Cut it down to about 1/2 inch because I'm just going to make a simple loop. Hold on to that tail, put that over to the side, grab my round nose pliers and make a loop. Slide my wire down about 1/8 of an inch from the tip I don't need too big a loop. And just rotate until the tip meets the rest of my wire. And I have a loop, just like that. Now I have a tiny little space here in between my bead and the loop. It is minuscule and it doesn't really bother me too much, except that I wanted that loop to stop right at the top of my bead. So I'm going to cut a little sliver of that tip off, the tiniest bit, just a little tiny bit, that little sliver right there. And then I'm going to reclose it to get rid of that little neck. Oh, get in there, get in there. It's spinning around, it's trying to get away from me. There we go. There we go. Straighten that out a little bit. And there is my earring. Isn't that cute? It's really so simple. Now all I need to do is attach it to my post. And this one, I'm not even going to use a jump ring. I'm just going to attach it directly to the post because this one's a little bit bigger and I don't want it to hang too long. This is my choice. You can attach it to a jump ring. Just give yourself a little more length of your bead and a little more swing if you want. So I'm just going to attach it directly to my post. So I'm going to reopen my top loop, open it to the side, just swing it open to the side and slide on my little post right there in that little loop. I'm just going to slide it inside the loop that's at the top of my bead and twist it closed. Nice. And there's my earring. What could be simpler than that? I don't know. Close it. Actually, let me go ahead and put it on let me put it on a form and then I'll show you what it looks like. Close and on an ear. There we go. There. Isn't that cute? My little earring. There. Isn't that adorable? I love it. You see that? Yes, there it is. That is so cute. Super simple and just adorable. Perfect, perfect, perfect for summer. And this doesn't weigh very much because it's acrylic, so that's very, very nice. So there they are. There are all my earrings. Okay, see if I can line them up so that you can see what we have. How am I gonna do this? Let's see. Let me lean it against something. Hold on just a second. Let me get this display together. Okay, there they are. There are our earrings for today. And I just think they are the cutest little things. I love them. Perfect for spring and summer. You can wear these 2 seasons out of the year at least, and maybe if you wanted just a little hint of garden-esque experience, you can wear them any time of the year that you want to be cheered up. But there they are. I hope you like them and I hope that you'll make some. You don't need to use these particular dangles that I used. You can use pretty much anything to make this work. Take this style of earring and use the beads that you have and make it your own. So that is our program for the day. I hope you'll take a little time to make one or all of these pairs of earrings. Again, use the style, use the beads that you have and make them all your own style. Now, there is something I need to tell you. For the month of September, those of you who get kits, I'm going on a little hiatus. I will be doing the tutorials, but there will not be any kits available throughout the month of September. It will resume in October, but September, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get any beads that you can find in your local craft store and make the things that I make in the tutorial. And I will be showing, one of the things that I hear a lot of is because I do cultural jewelry making and a lot of my beads come from other countries, I hear people say, well, I can't make that without the kit because I can't source those beads, which is absolutely true. So what I'm going to do throughout the month of September is show you how you can make these same designs using beads that you can get from Amazon, Etsy, whatever your craft stores are, Michael's, that sort of thing, so that you can also make these particular designs. I'm almost finished. So that you can make these designs your own without special beads. But I'm taking a little break. Again, the tutorials will continue through the month, but there won't be any kits available. Don't look for them. And then back in October, I will regroup and come back refreshed and ready with new ideas of beads that we can use for October's tutorials. But I wanted to let you know that that was coming. And I hope that you enjoyed this particular tutorial and that you'll make some of these earrings because they're just too cute for words. So if you have any questions or any comments that you want to leave me, look down in the information on the YouTube page that will give you my email. You can leave comments on the DeKalb County Library Facebook page. You can also leave pictures there. You can send me pictures to the email. And you can leave comments right here on the YouTube page. So I hope that you'll follow us and be sure to leave us any comments. Let me know what you think and how you want to see things move forward. So that's it for today. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your week wherever you are in it. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.